Welcome you now to another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. Happy New Year 2025. Thank you so much for being here. If you have not subscribed to the channel, be part of the community, be part of the Global Latin Factor community by subscribing today. Give us a like, give us a comment, and if you comment, I am going to personally send you, digitally send you a free shirt. We're going to be doing some more giveaways this year, 2025. Make sure you subscribe, let us know, so that way we can send you a shirt. Today we have an amazing individual. We have an individual that is a barber, over a decade of barber, merchant designer. He's done podcasting before and music, originally from Venezuela. However, also origin of Colombia. He'll tell us a little bit more about that. Ramon en la casa. Hola, señor. How you doing today?
I'm doing so great. Thank you for inviting me, and I appreciate the invitation, bro.
Absolutely.
How about you?
I'm doing great.
What's your day?
My day was amazing.
It was blessed.
Fantastic. I'm happy to be here. I get excited every time I get to do a podcast.
I'm glad to hear that too.
I'm looking forward to talking to people on the podcast and be able to provide a service to the community as far as what we do.
That's awesome.
Before we get started, though, we're going to go ahead and start with a segment. Did I cover your bio, everything, introduction?
Perfect.
You got more, but that's just like a small piece.
Yeah.
Before we get started, we're going to go ahead and start with a segment that I like to call
Preguntas al Chile.
I know you're familiar with those, right? I got something for you. I don't know if you're going to be ready for it. Tacos o tortas?
Tortas.
Corn tortilla or flour tortillas?
Corn tortillas.
Gorditas or arepas?
Ooh, that's a tough one, bro. I mean, gorditas in the United States, arepas in South America.
Okay. Yeah. Mexican coca or jarritos?
Jarritos, güey. Tamarindo.
¿Qué favor? ¿Tamarindo?
Tamarindo is my favorite one.
Yeah, I like them too. Horchata, Jamaica, tamarindo, aguas frescas. Which one?
De piña, güey.
You like the
I
piña?
know you didn't mention it, but the piña. Ahorita piña all the way.
I get piña and limon a lot.
Limon a lot.
People
yeah.
like
limon and pepino. Have you tried that one?
Yes. Refreshing.
So refreshing. Yeah.
Very refreshing. Salsa verde or salsa roja?
Verde, because I don't like spicy that much.
Okay. Bandeja paisa or sancocho?
Sancocho.
Sancocho? De why sancocho?
I'm not a big of a fan of bandeja paisa though.
Yeah.
But sancocho,
All day.
levanta muertos.
Levanta muerto. Explain what that means in English.
Like la cruda. Have you ever have a cruda before?
If you're
Like
hungover, super hungover.
Yeah, when you get a sancocho, you can
That's
start
like
drinking on
a hungover,
right away. Yeah.
a hangover remedy.
A hangover
Sancocho.
remedy. That's pretty much what I meant.
Empanadas or tamales colombianos?
Oh, jeez. I'll go with empanadas because, I mean, tamales is not that usual to have it like during weeks and shit.
Yeah.
But empanadas, you can get them from everywhere. Like every corner, every kiosco. Yeah.
So the tamales are kind of like holiday food?
Holiday food.
Yeah. Like usually like Mexican, like doing Christmas and all those days?
Exactly. Pretty much.
Okay. And does it look similar to a Mexican tamale or
Well,
not?
there are varieties. I mean, you can find the one that's made with the corn leaf.
Yeah.
But you can also find the one that's made with plantain leaf. So yeah, this variety.
Plantain?
Like, 3, maybe 4 different type of tamales.
That's cool. Menudo or pozole?
Pozole, güey.
Pozole?
Qué rico. Yeah.
Valentina, tapatio, cholula, hot sauce?
Valentina, just because I didn't try the other one.
You haven't tried the other ones? Okay. Lechona or cazuela de mariscos?
Cazuela.
Yeah.
I'm a big of a fan of seafood, so cazuela. I mean, I like lechona.
What is your go-to dish, Venezuelan dish? Because all these were Colombian dishes, or some of them Venezuela has some of those same type of dishes, or they name them the same.
They got the same, well, I mean, not the same, but something really similar with a totally different name.
Yeah.
And they think it's different, but it's kind of the same thing. But Venezuelan, I almost go with the asado negro.
Asado negro?
Yeah, it's kind of sweet, but it's really dark. It's a really dark meat.
Yeah.
It's really sweet. Yeah.
That's cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's cool.
Y churros or flan? The desserts.
Flan. I mean, I like churros, but flan is like a memory from when I was a kid. So,
Yeah?
Yeah.
You used to have it at Colombia or Venezuela? Or both?
Both.
Yeah? That's cool. Cumbia, salsa, merengue, or bachata dancing?
If someone who's watching this podcast knows me, they already know the answer. So I'll go with cumbia.
You like cumbia?
Yeah, I love cumbia.
Vallenato?
Vallenato is, I grew up with it. But cumbia, I'm a fan of every cumbia that's made all around the continent. Like Mexican cumbia is so awesome. But Argentinian cumbia is so good as well. So cumbia.
It's got its own vibe, definitely.
Every country has it.
Yeah, so every country has its own. Alrighty, a conspiracy theory that you heard one time that when you heard, you thought, that has to be true. That's no way that's not true. What would that be?
Yeah. It'll be Anunnakis, 100%. 100%. There's no way.
So to your understanding of what you heard, what exactly is an Anunnaki?
Well, the Anunnaki were this type of breed of slaves that these gods from Nibiru came. So when they stood up against the gods, they got to create another breed, and they took one of these, apes, walking apes and stuff, to touch it like genetically in order for them to create this new breed. So
which is
us. Like, easiest way to say it, but yeah. So Anunnaki was the slave that these guys bring with them to do the hard work, because they was trying to get some minerals from Earth in order to fix their atmosphere or something like that. And
what mineral in particular do you think?
It was gold.
Gold for sure.
And some other minerals like carbon or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure, but gold was the first one.
What is some of the things that you heard, you seen that made you want to maybe think that that's true, or you heard or seen a video or something?
Yeah, tons of videos, but what made me realize that it might be true is because, have you ever heard about let me say this in Spanish, is el eslabón perdido?
El eslabón perdido? No.
Well, and the evolution kind of plane that you might see, like the ape evolving into this Homo sapien.
Yeah.
There's one that's missing. So they don't know how
the missing link.
Yeah,
supposedly.
Missing link. Yeah, that would be the accurate translation from Spanish. The missing link. So how can you describe the missing link? Or how can you find out what was there, or, so they genetically touch this link that all of a sudden was missing, and there's where humanity as we know it came from.
You don't even have to go too deep into genetics, just like in the way that evolution works, supposedly, compared to we're hunter-gatherers and just gathering stuff. So all of a sudden, boom, now we have towns and villages, and now we're have crops and all this stuff.
And
like within the matter of like equivalent to the way that evolution supposedly works and how long it takes, it was fairly fast.
Yeah, I think, well, I believe it could be done anyways, but not as fast as it was. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're capable of, even though I still believe there was some help from.
Now with quantum computing, that could be a thing. Now we're going to even move even quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so when you hear the word Latino, Latina, or even Latinx, I don't know if you heard the term, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Eye-Opening Moments podcast are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
Well, this is going to be an interesting answer, because when I was at high school, we got Latin, like Latin, where we learn from the origins of our mother tongue. So when I heard Latin, like Latino or Latin, I think it comes from romance, like, everything that came out after the Roman Empire and these type of mixed and conquer and everything. So when I heard, the first time I heard Latino word, obviously it was related to that. But now I think it's someone who's is an American citizen, but from the other America, like the other side of America, like Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. Yeah, but that's what I
comes to mind.
Comes
Okay.
to mind now.
Do you care if you are called Latino? Do you prefer being called Colombian, Venezuelan, human, experiment, Anunnaki, offspring?
That's a really good question. If you would stop after saying Latino, I will say I don't mind being called Latino because I think I suit, I suit the word. However, I would be rather called as a universal citizen.
Universal citizen.
Yeah, because I don't really believe in boundaries and borders and,
I like that.
I think we're all the same. I mean, same globe, same thing, different varieties of the same kind of stuff.
Well, offsprings, Anunnaki offsprings. Okay, tell me, let's get to your interview part. So you were telling me a little bit. I don't want to get it too long, but you brought something to my attention I didn't know. So were born in Venezuela, but you grew up in Colombia, and you have dual citizenship. And you told me that's kind of sort of something that happens usually?
Yeah, it's really common.
Oh,
because,
wow.
as you may know, Colombia and Venezuela, they're next to each other. So they're they're neighbor countries. So it's more common to the border, like cities like Cucuta and San Cristobal, they're less than 30 minutes away from each other. And so that happens to Maicao and La Guajira. They're really close to each other too. So it's really common that there's people mixed from Colombian fathers and Venezuelan mother, the same way the opposite.
Yeah.
So it's common. And in the United States, you may surprise how many people mixed from South America is in the United States too. So, yeah, it's common.
I always like this question as far as, is there an interesting story of your journey to the U.S.? Like, for example, for me, I was like literally crossed illegally. That's a child, went in a tube, under a fence, ran away from, I didn't see the immigration, but I kind of ran away. I thought they were chasing us. And then, we used other people's documents and got to the U.S., and was illegal for a long time until we're good. We're good. We're good right now. I'm a citizen. Don't come for me no more. I'm telling you. You're not going to like the I'm an American citizen version of me. But I'm saying that's how it happened for me, right? Yeah. I had no really say so. For you, how was your journey here? And is it much different than any other person from Colombia, Venezuela, their journey over here? Or you think it's pretty similar?
It depends. It depends on the way that you're trying to go into your journey. In my case, it wasn't that difficult because as I enter as a Venezuelan, they get some like benefits for Venezuelan, even though if they're coming illegally. You know what I'm saying?
Like asylum and different things like that.
And also a TPS, which is I think it roughly translates to temporary permit status.
I got you.
That I already applied to, so don't come after me. I'm on the way to be legal, but yeah. And my journey was, it was such an experience, bro. I went across through land and sea and air too, just to get here. But it was such a good time. It was tough, I ain't gonna lie. But it was a lot of knowledge, a lot of learning too out of it. So I just throw away everything was bad and I took what was worth it. The journey. Yeah.
Any interesting people you ran into during your journey?
Hell yeah. I met this dude from Nicaragua when we went crossing the sea. And he barely speak English because all they speak this region of Nicaragua was Creole, which is kind of like a native indigenous language mixed with some of their English and French.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's quite an interesting mix. So this guy, 100%, it was one of the, but I think it's just the first one that came to my mind when I think about someone interesting that I met during this. He was telling me, like, you're the first Venezuelan that I got to know who speaks English. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How did you learn English?
Another good question, man. You shouldn't just fire now. So I noticed I was really interested in getting to learn the second language because I grew up with my sisters, and they got this dictionary, like Spanish and English dictionary. And I don't know, I barely knew how to read. And I was 7 years old, by the way. And I found out this book at home, and I was like, what is it? And I started just, to dig into it. Yeah. And I found some curious words, that's bad words. And I thought it was funny. So that was the first step, or the first approach to English that I have was when I was 7 years old. So I got to go to school, the mid school and high school, and they got this really good teacher. Shout out to Gustavo Marquez.
Wow.
Yeah, big of a friend. And this guy was so cool. I mean, he was such a great teacher. And I think pretty much everything I learned from him, I used it as a base to keep on, like after I, broke away from school and whatever. Yeah. I just keep on going on my own path on learning the second language. And I used this method that he gave me. Again, shout out to this guy. Mm-hmm. Like whenever you have your target language, like really focus and set up, you should surround yourself of your target language. That way you should learn it way faster than just going to like a course or an academy or whatever. And so I did. I surrounded myself with music, video games,
everything English.
Everything in English. Everything I was consuming by that time, I'm talking about 10, 11 years old to 16, 17, 18, everything was just English. Music, video games, movies, books. Yeah.
I was talking on the last podcast, like my breakthrough that I knew that I knew English was when I started thinking in English. I caught myself thinking, I'm like, oh shoot, I know English.
I noticed I was already thinking in English, but I was just, it's just some normal. I just like a lot the language. But I realized that I was fluent in English when I got to dream in English. Oh. Have you ever?
I don't remember. I don't remember when I was like, I never tied them together, right? But now it makes a lot of sense to be fluent.
Yeah, I mean, I realized that I was fluent in English when I got to dream in English because I found myself doing it, and I was like, realizing in the dream, like, bro, am I dreaming in English? Like, wow, that's wild.
That is neat. That is neat. Like, it's a great indicator, right, that you're fluent in a language, that you kind of already beyond know it. Like, you're confident enough to know that you understand it. You can carry a conversation. You can write. You can do all those things now. Yeah. In a dream realization. In a dream. I thought it came to me as a thought, but to you, it's even deeper in the dream, which makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah. For me, when it comes to your thoughts, when you're thinking, your way of thinking or whatever, I think you can influence it to a certain degree. Yeah. But with dreams, it got to be something different. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. Okay, so now you have done a variety of things. You've done podcasting before. Now you do barber, a clothing design. You done music before. Which one in sequence? Let's go in sequence. Which one started first? Was it the podcasting, the music?
Let's start with graphic design.
So you started with graphic design.
Yeah, I started graphic design.
That's some of the first things that you kind of sort of learned, wanted to do. What made you want to do it?
That's an interesting question. I was so skillful on drawing since I was 6 years old. Mm-hmm. And my mama noticed that. And everybody at home was like trying to push me into it. Like, if you're good at it, you should, do it some more. And so did I. So by the end of my high school, we call it bachillerato in Spanish. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but it was art. I grew up with some, music skills too, but I was for sure that I didn't want to make a profit out of music because I knew how hard it was back then. We're talking about 20 years ago. Yeah. And I didn't want to get into it, but I thought it was artistic. I knew I wanted to be an artist. I just didn't know what kind of an artist I wanted to be. But by the time I got to, to decide what I was about to do with my life, and if I'm going to go to college or whatever, I got to know these different, ways to become an artist after you go to college. One of them was architecture, because if you're good at drawing, you may be a good architect. Who knows? And graphic design. So I went with graphic design, and it was, I think, one of the best choices that I made in my life. I didn't finish though, because the time was so rough. The time was so difficult for me, and I couldn't just keep on going with that. I realized that I will end up, because I was actually avoiding ending up working as a 9-to-5 kind of job, sitting to a desk all day, getting yelled at. And I knew I didn't want that with any other type of career. Right. And I thought being a graphic designer would be different, but hell no, it was exactly the same thing. And I was like, I love graphic designer, but I ain't not gonna go into that bucket, you know what I mean? And I said, throw it all up. And I started making every kind of jobs. Like I work in kitchen, I work in the smoothies bar, whatever. But let's just move forward to barbering, which was the next step. I said, okay, I'm not going to be a graphic designer for a living, but I still like it, so I can do it.
Did it hurt you a little bit to kind of sort of realize that even though you liked it and you went to school and trying to do it, kind of a little bit of heartbreaking that it was going to be that type of environment and you got to pivot to something else?
Yeah, I think my expectations were so high into being a graphic artist that I was just I was just heartbroken when I got to realize it was like that. And I said, nah, this is not what I want for me. Even though I love doing this, I can't just do it. It doesn't matter how much it hurts.
So you decided to pivot to barbering. Who introduced you to barbering? Where did you see it yourself?
Yeah, I remember getting my cousin's hair done when we were like 10 or 13 years old. And one of our uncles had this clipper at home. And one of them wanted just a bald head. And I was like, yeah, I know how to do it. I mean, who knows? Who doesn't?
Right.
But after that, cousins and neighbors and this and that were like, so you've done this before, so can you do this and that? And I was like, yeah, I think I can. So my empirical approach was so good. I wasn't bad at all. But it was just a hobby. Mm-hmm. So time will go by, and I got to go to college and do this and that. By the time I realized I couldn't make any profit, or I couldn't make any profit the way I want out of graphic designer, I decided to go with barbering. I was deciding between tattooing or barbering because I know how to draw. I know how good I can be in that one, but it was about to take too long for me to start making a profit out of it. And barbering was just a matter of few couple months in order for you to start making money out of it. And I became a really good barber after that. So podcasting was right after pandemic.
Before you get to the podcasting part.
I'm sorry.
Did you go to barber school?
Yeah.
Or were you an apprentice? So you actually went to barber school?
Yeah, I went to a barber school in Venezuela. It's called El Círculo Internacional de Peluqueros.
So you were telling me of an interesting story of the word en español, de barbero y peluquero.
Yeah.
Barber, and I don't think there's a translation for
peluquero.
Peluquero.
Yeah, stylist.
Stylist.
Yeah.
So you were telling me the origin is interesting, right?
I was telling you that about.
Yeah.
So let's do a paréntesis.
Yeah.
So the academy is called El Círculo Internacional de Peluqueros because they don't just teach you how to barber. They teach you all kind of stuff. You can just go to get a color degree, like people that only do ombre hair and dye and
so
stuff.
It's both women and men?
And women and men.
Okay.
I mean, they teach you how to mix colors and how to mix...
so it's a whole cosmetology type of situation, not really a barber? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I went to the barber course, but there's also this stylish course and the colorimetría. I don't know if there's a word in English for that one, but colorimetría is basically the...
Color metric. Let's make it up. I don't know. Just making it up. I don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, it's kind of like a career where they only teach you how to mix and mess up with colors and all type of product for you to do a hair color. Yeah.
Nice.
So the difference between a barber and a peluquero or a stylist is that the el barbero or the barber is a way ancient profession than just the peluquero. And I know how to say this in Spanish, but peluquero comes from the word peluca, which is kind of like a wig.
A wig.
Yeah. So when back then, I think it was like the 15th century, it was kind of like a thing, right? Like wearing wigs and stuff. So you don't go to get a haircut. You just go to the peluquero or the wigger.
Yeah.
To get your wig fixed up. You know what I'm saying? And that was the thing back then. And by that time, barbering was not a thing at all. But we have registers from ancient Egypt where the pharaoh used to have his own barber, personal barber.
Yeah.
So barbering is way more ancient profession than stylish.
Yeah. And you hear the saying, the big wigs, those kind of sayings that you come up, that you hear just talking in conversation, like the big wigs or this and that. I was watching a video about barbering, and I remember part of the history of barbering was their logo, the little pole,
little
and
pole.
the colors, because at one time,
they used to do like dental subtraction. So
a few medical things, not too much, but a little bit of a medical deals. It was as far as I know, it was just dental subtractions. So what they do, it was just like the bandages. Yeah.
When they were all covered in blood, they kind of like wash them and put it to dry in one of those like spinning poles. Oh. And this is where it comes from. It used to be just white and red, but after years of evolution, they came up with the blue, and it became kind of like an icon of barbering that way.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Okay, so now podcasting. How did you get introduced to podcasting? I know you did it for some time. I know you had a colleague of yours who presents you podcasting. Is it here in the States or is it over there in Venezuela?
It was in Colombia.
In Colombia.
So after pandemic, I got this friend, shout out to Fabiola Chang. Fabiola was really into creating a podcast from scratch, a philosophy podcast. Pretty much some like philosophy for dummies.
For dummies?
Yeah, for dummies.
Nice.
If you don't know thing about philosophy, we were trying to make it fun for you to learn it, Yeah. And I got everything at home. I got the desk, I got the camera, I got the mics, I got everything. And I was about to start a podcast. I just didn't want to start by myself, So Fabiola comes along and say, hey, why don't we do a podcast? You got everything, and I got the idea, because I didn't got the idea, though.
Yeah.
And she told me, I got the idea, I want to do this and that. And my husband, like Fabiola's husband, back then, he's a writer. He's a writer, and he used to write our scripts.
Oh, nice.
But during the recording, we had to use some, AI or Googling or whatever to get some more details about the scripts that we already have in order for us to be like more talkative about the topic.
Were you doing teleprompter or you're just discussing amongst each other about whatever topic you chose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, Fabiola and her husband, I don't know how they do it or how they used to do it, but they came along with the topic. Like, we're going to talk about this. And I was like, I was down to talk about anything, I was I just want to be in front of the camera and the mic, you know what I mean? So, you got to talk about this. Let me do my research and I'll be down to it.
Yeah, and what was the name of the podcast?
Filosofa. Yeah, which is Filosofa podcast. So, Filosofa, it's a word game because we have philosophy and sofa, which in English means couch. So we got to sit in a couch, but not really.
Filosofa.
Yeah,
I like
filosofa.
that. I like that. Neat.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the time doing this podcast, but I don't know. I got to come over and we got to stop the.
How long did you have a run for in that podcast? Filosofa.
We just did like 5 episodes. Yeah, and we try to drop once a week, so it was just a month.
La filosofía or the filosofía lines up with the things that you like, that you follow, as far as the things that you, as far as philosophy. Tell me about that part.
Yeah, it comes up from when I was in high school, in bachillerato. We have a teacher that he just teaches philosophy, sociología. I don't know how to say it in
Sociology.
Sociology. And we also have like psychology. So those three topics at school, they really kept my attention. Most likely the philosophy. And I was like, yeah, I want to know. I want to dig more into it. Just because, I mean, the meaning of the word is filosofía, which is amor, like love, to the knowledge. Yeah, translated to English. So I was really captive about the knowledge itself. So the more you dig into philosophy, the more, I mean, the only goal of philosophy is to get closer to the truth. And that's what I wanted to know, you know, that's what I wanted to do, like to get closer to the truth. And years come by and this and that. And finally I got to know Stoicism, which was a game changer for me in my entire life. Because I got to learn a lot of things that I didn't know about back then, but they were so useful. And I must say, I think it's useful for every human being, because what they're teaching you is it sounds so legit and so real about what would be a best way for you to live life. Yeah. The dichotomy of control is one of the biggest, one of the biggest things that I've learned from Stoicism, which is just focus on the things that you can control and get rid of everything that you cannot. Right. That way you can live a happier life.
Do you recall exactly the moment when you were learning about it and like, this is life changing for me? This is like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, you know, I heard of the law of attraction up to a certain point and be like, oh my goodness. It makes you realize and think and be conscious of like, you know, whether this is real or not. At the end of the day, some of these things are playing out, and that's the way that my life is rolling. And it's like life changing if I get it together, right? So for you, when you were learning Stoicism, all of a sudden, was there a moment of time like, man, this is going to change my life?
Yeah. When I start realizing there was, let me say this in Spanish first and then I got to translate it. Cuando me di cuenta de que poner en práctica todo lo que había aprendido tenía su fruto. So, the results themselves, like every result that I got to see after, you know, getting into practice, whatever tip.
So everything that you learned, that you put into practice, you saw fruits eventually of all that work that you learned about, that you implemented in action.
Exactly.
You saw fruits of that.
That was the moment that I realized that it was a game changer. So I decided to keep on going into Stoicism.
Okay. And how do you think that ties together with being a barber and, you know, doing that part and the artistic part as well?
Artistically speaking, I will say when I got to do art, I just do it because I enjoy it. And I just let go the illusion of control or trying to control the outcome. So I don't approach to art in order for me to have a specific result or a specific outcome. I just do it because of the way of expressing my ideas. That's artistically. And when I got to barbering, the way I, you know, linked it to it is you will always find difficult people to deal with, even in the chair. even if you're a good barber. Because there's people that they don't know what they want. They don't know how to express themselves. Yeah. They don't know how to ask you for a haircut, ask you for a beard trim, or ask you for whatever. And at some point it's really difficult for you to, you know, make them tell you what they want. So being a stoic made me realize that it's nothing that personal for you to, you know, to be upset about. there's no way you can control that either. What you can control is your behavior in front of the situation. So what can you do to make them describe what they want?
Okay.
That's the way I linked it to it.
So what is one of the main things that you kind of go to that helps you kind of help somebody that doesn't know where they're heading to open up about what they want?
I'll say proving questions. Like, you don't want these? Like, do you like these? Have you had this before? What do you think about these other, like, if we do this, if we do that, or whatever? So proving question must be like the main thing for me that helped me a lot in order to get the information I was looking for me to do my job.
Probing questions helps a lot. And that kind of tie with stoic, being stoic, because you kind of learned about it, and that helps you be more patient with the person and try to, like, there's so many people in different walks of life, right? And you don't know what they've gone through and everything, or why they don't have the words, even though it's something as simple as like a fade, but I don't know why they can't kind of sort of get it into words to be a fade. So you like this, you like low, you like high, things like that. Okay, I know what you want.
Exactly. And that for me, my friend, is what I can control. Like the way I speak to them in order for me to get the information I want. If I'm not getting from them naturally, I can control it, right?
Right.
What I can control is what I say or what I ask in order for me to have the information I'm looking for. So yeah, that's pretty much why.
Did you ever run into a situation with a customer, a client that was super difficult, that even though you used everything that you learned to, even though you know you cannot control it, still kind of sort of touch your buttons a little bit, that you were like maybe not able to service them? Or has it ever gotten to that point at all?
Yeah, it definitely happens before, even though I don't let it escalate it as much as it should, or depends on the situation, because I don't want give away my peace. I don't want to give away my calmness and
right.
Yeah, and but I might be triggered until a certain point where I start making questions, like ironically or sarcastically, because I mean, what annoys me the most is that we already spoke about something in a specific. Now you're kind of changing it, like switching it over. Like why?
You can't cut back and reverse. You can't cut in reverse. If I cut, it's gone.
Yeah, if it's done, it's done. I mean, but yeah. Or another example is like, I know that I told you that I want the beer like this, but you know what? I just changed my mind, and I was like, yeah, it kind of triggers me a little bit. But right now, I mean, I'm talking about years ago, where I was barely starting with Stoicism. But now, I'm on my unbothered phase.
Yeah.
Nothing can bother me at all.
Yeah. How about, that's got to test your patience a lot with kids, because kids are kids, but kids still have to get a haircut. Their parents got to go. Do you take on kids or not necessarily?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do kids. But I don't like to say it like that. I don't cut kids. I cut young gentlemen.
Young gentlemen.
Yeah. Because I pretty much believe that we as stylish or barbers or whatever scenario, whatever situation, whatever profession, more than just a barber, a stylish or whatever, we're teachers. We're teaching them how to behave in a chair. So that's pretty much what I like. And I kind of like the challenge. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this kid is being like inappropriate or is moving too much or whatever, it's a really good example for you to test your patience, and it's a really good, situation for you to start teaching something into someone, even if they're young, more when they're young, because for sure there will be an impact into their lives.
You know what comes to mind whenever you talk about a barber? Two words. One is trust, because when I was small, I remember when I was little, my dad used to take, my parents, my mom, my dad used to take me to get a haircut. And like whenever they put the machine, I had a lot of tickles. A lot.
Yeah.
And then the barber one time, he grabbed me, he put the machine, and he went like, because I thought he was going to cut me. Mm-hmm. So I'll be like going like this, jerking. And all of a sudden he stopped me, he grabbed me, he went and put the clippers right here. And nothing happened. So I kind of that came to me that is at ease, a moment at ease that like it's not going to cut you.
Yeah.
I think maybe because I thought it was going to cut me, and there's a reason when I kept being jumpy. That helped me that trust to him and to my future barbers that I'm not going to get cut with that.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't think people, at least men, realize that. Most men realize that loyalty towards a barber is a big deal. Like once you find a barber, whether it be a gentleman or a lady that cuts your hair, you mostly stay with that individual unless you have to move or they move. And that's it. Because otherwise, I've been with the same barber. I think I was talking to her the other day. It was like, it's been like 7 years, bro.
That's quite a lot.
Yes. And I would not cheat on the lady because I just like her. And then there's always that communication. Not only that, but the communication. Like there's not therapy or anything, but just having those small little talks that you have kind of help out.
It's kind of like
it is a little bit of
sometimes?
Therapeutic. It is.
Yeah, I was surprised that you just said it wasn't, but yeah, it's kind of like it.
Well,
at some point.
Well, depending on the person, right? Because some people are not willing to open up for nothing at all whatsoever, maybe high and by and whatever. At least for my barber and I, we had some deep conversations about real stuff. So for me, it is therapeutic. But some other people, some other ones that don't really, whether you've been 5 years or whatever, and the most words you ever said was hi, bye, how you doing, how's your day, and that's it. Yeah. Some other people are not. Like, I'm okay to open it up to her. And same thing for my barber. Yeah. We get to talk about deep stuff. And he feels a little bit therapeutic and stuff like that. But I can see how other people wouldn't.
Yeah. I can see how people wouldn't too, because it only depends on how you see or how you approach to these interaction, you know. For most people, it can be just in and out, get my haircut, and get the hell out of there. For most people, it's kind of like a relaxing time that you have to be in a chair, to be taken care of. For some other people, it can be like, man, I got this situation going on, and I ain't got nobody to talk about it with.
That's true.
And I've been trusting you for so long that I'm just gonna throw it away on you. And if you can thank you. You know what I mean? Like, they're being just thankful, because at the end of the day, we don't have like that much of information for be a judger. You know?
Yeah.
Like, we just listen.
Yeah,
just
of course.
listen. At the end of the day, that's pretty much what they need. Someone who is there to listen, and at some point validate their feelings too. Yeah. So it's totally normal to feel like that. Maybe you can try to go into this way, and Stoicism gave me a lot of help in order to, to give them these advices, maybe tips or whatever. Yeah. And I try to introduce them to it, Stoicism as well. Like, if you ever happen to have a time off to get some into, YouTube or whatever, you should try this channel, this other channel, so that way you can have some knowledge and wisdom. So
that's cool. All right, we're running short on time. We have a couple more questions. So you did want to talk a little bit about spirituality. I don't know if you have any other questions on your way over here that you were hoping for me to ask about anything that you got going on. But as far as spirituality, what are your thoughts on that for you? What do you feel like for you it helps you? What have you learned? What do you think you feel like or you believe in as far as spirituality or just in general?
You just asked it, what you believe in. And I 100% believe in me. I believe in the I am. Do you know that names, like God's name is Yahweh, like Yahweh or Yahweh or whatever? Mm-hmm. So from Hebrew, it pretty much translates to I am. So when the only way, or the way I experienced it, the way to meet God, it can only be through yourself, through your inner you. You hear me? Mm-hmm. So going or try to get closer to God, it's better, or it's always better when you do it through yourself. Getting to know yourself, getting to know your emotion, getting to know how to control them, getting to know how to be empathetic, kind, and lovely to to everybody. Because at the same time that you're getting to love yourself, getting to know yourself, and love you as much as you can, you're doing the same for everybody else in the world. So for me, it's kind of like that. I believe in me. I believe that I am, And I know. Because there's different things. Like you believe that you know and believe that you trust on, things that you may trust or things that you may just know or just think about. But I know who I am.
Yeah. I mean, there's two different, very distinctive things, right? No, believing, hoping that something is real, comparative to the
Exactly.
You know that it is. You don't have to. You already know without a doubt, without a shadow, having faith that is what it is, and you know. And they're very different things.
Very different things.
Sometimes they tie together. People tie to believe to... Actually, they titter-tatter in believing, not realizing if they already... You wouldn't have to believe if you already knew and surrender to the knowing instead of teeter-tattering around the belief. You still kind of sort of like guessing, is it or not?
Is there or not?
If you know, and you feel it.
For me, the difference between knowing and believing is that what you believe is because someone else tells you to do so. But what you know is something that you find out on yourself. That you only going through your inner you got to discover this knowledge or whatever the truth is.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the difference between those, words. And I also know there's some power behind everything that has been spoke or thought about what we must believe. Religion is one of those things. Politics is one of those things as well. And that's why I go a totally different path.
Right.
Into politics, I'm not into politics. I'm not into none of that stuff. You hear me? I'd rather go find my own knowledge, my own wisdom. And that way, I've been living a better life ever since then.
Okay, awesome. All right, we're running short on time, as I mentioned. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. I think we cover a lot of the things you're done. Before I let you go, all your social media handles, where can we find you? And do you do any events? Do you do any of those barber events that sometimes they have conferences and stuff like that? Do you ever partake in any of those? Or do you have any events that you put together yourself?
Not in the moment, just because how new I am to the barber scene in the United States. I went to some of those courses and seminaries and stuff back there in Colombia. At the moment, I'm not going to any events. My social, you can find me RC Hardstyles on Instagram, and that will be the easiest way to get in touch with me in order to get a consultation or a haircut or whatever the case it was.
And I'm going to put all the links on the bio description area so they can find you. RC Styles?
Hard Styles.
Hard Styles.
Yeah. The nickname or the username comes from how mixed I can be, like hard styles, because every style I got to do, even if it's hair or design or merching or whatever, it's going to be hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
What about merchandise? I know you collaborated with some people in designs of the merchandise that you do. Let me talk about that, because you have a specific style for the shirts that you like to design that you have out for sale, which is one piece, one in a million. There's not a lot of them. You put a lot of thought of it, but you like a specific type of fabric for your print and for the type of style of shirts that you like to print out. And right now you're just doing shirts, right? Yeah.
Right now it's just shirts, like T-shirts and just graphics, because I like to go with the kind of vintage style, which is kind of, what you may see this kind of like worn already. I love that. I don't know why, but I love that. And the best printing technique for you to achieve that look is DTG, which stand up for direct to garment, which is pretty much like printing, like a printer, like the one you have at your office.
Yeah.
Printing on top of the
material, the fabric.
Material, the actual T-shirt. You know what I mean? It's not like you gotta screen print in these and do the ink and mix it with this. No, the machine, it do it by itself.
Yeah, and then the shirt itself, the thickness, that you specific for you like.
The reason why is when we talk about vintage kind of look and graphic design and graphic T-shirts, people like to wear like streetwear brands. And streetwear brands game on fabric and blanks is really tight. It's really competitive these days. So I try to aim to a thicker garment, the Honduran garment from, I know we're not being sponsored by that, but Shakaware is one of the best blank sellers out there. You also have like LA Apparel, a bunch of other brands, but that one has been like my go-to.
Yeah. And then for you, if you was to have a shirt out designed for sale, is it going to be found on your website, on your Instagram where they can find you? And you had a collaboration that some of your art made it to somebody else that's pushing a brand. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. I got this friend, shout out to Luis Daniel, this friend in Venezuela. But he's now, he's Venezuelan, but he's now moving to Colombia and he's transitioning. And we may, try to get the brand over there too. He's the intellectual owner and I'm the graphic director, if we can say that. And it's a really good concept this guy has because he has all the ideas. I've just got to put my art, you know what I mean? I don't got to figure out how, no.
All of the logistics and marketing, none of that. You're just doing your part. You're playing your part with the graphic design that you like to do.
Yeah. But the fact that he approached it to me, it was because he liked what I was already doing. So I liked how this guy is designing, so let him cook.
Did he find you on Instagram or where did he find you?
No, we were friends from like years ago.
Awesome. Okay. Saludos. Any special thank you saludos that you want to send?
I think I already sent those shout outs that I had to do. So
great.
They know.
What is an important lesson that you learned doing barber or graphic designer that you learned that you would tell your younger self that will help somebody else out? What would that be?
I think from barbering, it's don't take anything personal. I will say, if I got the chance to tell this to my younger self, like when I was 20 or 18 or 19, man, I will have a easier life. Because I used to do that a lot, like to take things in personal ways, and I was getting nowhere. Unfortunately, I got to learn it a little later in life. I wish I could learn it before, and from graphic designing, I think that will apply, what I learned will apply in every aspect of your life. Like, just let go of the outcome. Just let it go. Just enjoy yourself while you're going on your journey.
I was thinking about that today as far as like how people are confident of doing a certain thing, but it's those hours that you get to do practice the graphic designer cutting that get you to that point. In the beginning, of course, you're kind of figuring it out and experimenting, but you're able to be confident about whether it be graphic designing, podcasting, because you've done it so many times over and over and over. Now you're just like a bird on just spreading your wings and flying, like you know how to, like you've been doing it forever, but there's been that consistent grind over and over and over till you get to that point to where you're like this person that does this already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe there's no easy way for you to do anything in life. Just start doing it. Eventually, you'll get the direction you're trying to aim to, and eventually you will get the confidence that you only gonna get from doing it consistently. So
with your eyes closed, like literally you can execute some things with your eye closed. You won't even realize you're doing it. Okay, this is a little deeper question. Usually I wake up with a quote or sometime during my day. I'm not immortal. I am mortal, and I will die one day. Not to scare me, to freak me out, none of that. But it makes me realize we're not here forever. It's a reality of life, right? It's just going to happen. But it also makes me want to hurry up and do things, keep moving, keep doing things, and keep making things happen. With that, I wish you a long, long, prosperous life. However, when everything's said and done, what do you want people to feel and think about your life?
That I lived the fullest, getting to know, because I know getting to know yourself is a never-ending path. So I would like to people think about it that he spent his entire life on this never-ending path to getting to know himself, to try to achieve the best version of himself.
Thank you so much for being here. We met at Cabo Bar. There's been a few people that I met that I had over here. And, just had a pleasant conversation. I thought it was interesting the way you kind of knew the history of barbering. And I'm like, this is different than I never heard before. And you know, you're mad cool. You had your own thing going on. And, you know, I feel like any of us that make a journey to the States to seek a better life and focus on being better and being something for humanity. It's a beautiful thing to display here in our podcast. So without a shadow of a doubt, Ramon, you are a global land factor. Or Raymond, you are a global land factor. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for the invitation, bro.
This was another episode of the Global Land Factor podcast. Once again, Happy New Year 2025. Remember to join the community right now by how? Subscribing to the channel. Become a subscriber. And if you comment that you watch, I will hit you up so that way I can get details of where I can send you a shirt, because we're going to give more giveaways on 2025. And again, remember, we are just like you. We are people. We are the spice in this melting pot. This is the world. Till next time. Bye.